So you decided to make a career switch and you chose to be a software engineer. Of course, this job is some kind of El Dorado in the professional world. Social media describe developers as lazy bastards who sleep till noon, then just pretend to be working and write actual code just 15 minutes a day, and for this they get like 6-number salary. Well, I have to disappoint you from the very beginning. First, all well-paid developers work their ass hard to get to that point. And they continuously learning in their free time after work just to stay on track and keep up with all the technologies that can change overnight. And they do it in their own free time after work when they could just be lazy and play video games. Of course, some companies have dedicated time for learning for their employees. For example, the company where I'm working now, they have like 10% time that is dedicated to learning. 10% time is like 3 or 4 hours every week. But what can you learn for 3 hours? And will you remember something after 1 week if you don't practice what you're learning? So even with all these generous options from the software companies, you still need to learn something in your free time. So what I want to tell you first of all, there won't be such moment when you can just sit, relax and tell yourself, okay, I got there, I'm a rich software developer, I can just do nothing, be where I am and get my ridiculously high salary. It's not gonna happen. Programmers, they are like samurais. There is no destination, only a journey. So if this doesn't turn you off and you still want to try and become a software engineer, then you should also understand that it's very easy to become a shitty one or even a mediocre one. You can teach a monkey or a parrot how to code. Programming languages are easier than the natural human ones. Talk to computers is easier than to talk to your colleagues, product owners, designers, other software developers. So here comes a paradox. If it's so easy to become a software developer, why industry is so understaffed and companies compete for candidates and offer them all kinds of perks? And at the same time, it is so hard to get your first job in IT that people have to go through 100 interviews just to get one single offer. Well, the answer is pretty simple. Everyone wants to hire an experienced developer who will just join the company and immediately will start to solve business problems. But how many of such developers are looking for new jobs? And at the same time, the market is full of yesterday's graduates who are ready to sell their soul for just any kind of internship or junior role. Yeah, some companies figured out that they can hire 1 senior engineer and 5 juniors and then just to wait for them to learn and to grow. But this is a long-term strategy with a bit of unpredictable outcome. So your goal must be not just to learn how to code, but how to become an experienced software developer. And then companies will fight to hire you, even if in the beginning it's gonna be fake it till you make it kind of stuff. So how do we actually do it? The most important thing that I will put on the first place, even on place 0 in our array, it is to create a right environment. Subscribe on like 20 channels in YouTube and TikTok about coding. Listen to podcasts. Find a computer club in your city. Go to meetups and conferences. Find like-minded people. Do networking. It's gonna be much easier when you are not alone. I can give you an example of my kid. He would never do any coding at home. He has this typical Gen Z attention span of 5 seconds. But when we go to a computer club and there are a bunch of like-minded people who gather together in a big co-working space and they all do the same thing, even if they're not talking to each other, they all working on their own project. In this atmosphere, he's able just to sit down for 2 hours and code his game without being distracted, without complaining that he is bored or he's tired. And this is a 10 years old kid. Honestly, I'm amazed what peer pressure can do for us. So if it works for 10 years old kid, it will work for you as well. You should have like much stronger motivation for that. Of course, it's not gonna be so easy if you're working full-time. It's much easier when you're a student, you're going to university or college where you study it and you have your fellow students around. Even if you're doing a job that is not related with computer science, you still can do it. You just need to be determined enough. Of course, you'll still need to learn a programming language or even few of them. And if you don't have a computer science background, I would recommend you to start with web development because it doesn't require any special setup. If you want to start with something simple, all you need is just a text editor, code editor, and a browser. Of course, if you learn TypeScript or frameworks such as React, Vue.js, or whatever will be mainstream at that point, then you would need to learn how to compile your code, how to build it, and then such things like Webpack and Docker are coming. But if you want to start gradually with something simple, that's what I recommend you to do. And the second thing is to learn general patterns of programming. It is something language agnostic and it will be useful, doesn't matter what you're gonna do, front-end, back-end, architecture, whatever. Just go and Google it, programming patterns, and that's probably one of the most useful things to do. And then learn about data. We are living in a data-driven world. It is data collection, data protection, data analysis, data whatever, visualization and other stuff. So doesn't matter what you're doing, you will work with the data one way or another way. So you better get ready for that. Then you need to learn basics of software architecture. Even if you are not going to be a software architect, even if you just want to focus on some narrow specialty, I don't know, you want to do only mobile apps or only front-end or only React, doesn't matter. You must understand how the piece of application you're working on fits in a bigger system. So learn architectural patterns, learn what is availability, scalability, performance, and all the jazz means. It is also very useful for interviews where if you're not a junior especially, they will ask you about this stuff. Practice your passing interview skill. In my opinion, interviews have nothing to do with the real work. So you can be an amazing developer, but still they will reject you on interviews. Interviews is a separate skill to learn. So go through typical interview questions, watch mock interviews, or maybe even ask your friend to perform one mock interview with you. And even if you're not looking for a job, still try and go to interviews, because even if you fail them, after 3, 5 or 10 of them, you'll feel more confident, you'll know what to expect, and when it comes to your dream job interview, you'll nail it. And boost your soft skills. Software developers nowadays work in teams, and even if you might be a lonely freelancer for a while, it is, in my opinion, a dead end in terms of career growth. So learn how to interact with people and how to get what you want from them. And when I say people, I mean not just fellow software engineers, that is already hard enough to communicate with, but I also mean product managers, QA people, designers, whoever you're working with. It is important. And it is also very important to be open-minded and to listen to other people, because we developers tend to be arrogant and think that no one really understands what we are doing and we are such a smart asses and everyone is so silly. But that's not true. Don't let yourself to get into this trap. You always can learn something from people, even if you're a principal or architect and they're just interns. Because when we are working for a long time on the same job, we kind of get our habits and opinions, we stop being so flexible, we stop looking around, and it is important to get out of these kind of stereotypes that we are having and to just look around sometimes. And of course, it is important to understand that you can be wrong, you can make mistakes, and other people can be right and they can be smarter than you. And on the other side of this situation, let's say if you're a junior developer, you shouldn't be afraid of asking questions and say no to your bosses if you think they are wrong. Of course, you don't have to be rude, but you have to have your critical thinking. And even if you're just on interview, you're not yet working in this company, don't hesitate to ask questions or criticize something if you really think so, because it's not going to be bad for you, it will be the opposite, it will be good. You will show that you actually care about things that you're doing. And of course, practice. Practice and practice again. No one cares how good you are at math or at algorithms or how many tasks from lead code you solved. Software development is not that much about, nerdy stuff and cutting edge technologies and rocket science. It is about business, and you have to know how to solve business problems. So what you need to do is to figure out what these problems are and then try to solve them, or at least watch how other people solve them. You don't have to invent the wheel, you just need to know the right tool for the right problem. And if you are not working yet and have no project to do, then forget about money for a second. Just ask around. Maybe your friends need to do something, maybe they need a chatbot for their small shop, or maybe local charity needs a website. So just try and help these people for free. Or if you don't have such people around you, just make your own project that could be potentially go viral. Or even if it doesn't go viral, it doesn't matter. The most important thing that you will apply things that you learned to a real life project, and you will have something else in your portfolio that would speak about you better than 1,000 words in your CV. Well, I could continue forever, but let's be conscious of time and let's approach our goals in the right order. Let's focus on the first point of our list and figure out where to start if you want to create a right environment for you to learn code. So in the next video, I will share with you the best resources to watch, to read, to listen to, that will help you to create this right atmosphere for you to deep dive into coding. Stay tuned, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe on my channel if you don't want to miss my next videos. Thank you!